Good evening and welcome to your Saturday Tonic, the Weekend File, where in-depth analysis is given to issues of national concern and possible solutions proffered. Fire outbreaks now on a daily or weekly basis, with property worth billions of naira lost into flames. Many are of the opinion that indiscriminate siting of gas outlets without regulations is the culprit. Who gives approval for the siting of cooking gas cell outlets, Department of Petroleum Resources DPR, or the state government? Who is to blame? The approving authorities or the dealers? These and many more questions informed this discussion tonight. And Nuhu Yakubu is the president of Nigeria Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association, and he joins me from our Lagos studio. I am Joseph Johnson. Let's take a look at some trending stories first. President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to working with other member states of the African Union towards promoting human health and general well-being in the spirit of regional cooperation and solidarity. Addressing the 34th Summit of the African Union, the president said Nigeria will also partner the international community and critical health organizations in accelerating the development, manufacture and supply of safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines to all Africans. State House correspondent Adam Sama reports.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to inform you that President Muhammadu Buhari has just had to step out for an urgent matter, and he has asked speech on his behalf.
In the speech, President Muhammadu Buhari expressed worry that the coronavirus pandemic has created additional burden to the public health system and posed a major challenge to the gains made in the socio-economic development as well as the overall well-being of the continent.
The imperative for the immunization of 60% of Africans with safe and secured vaccine cannot be overemphasized. Nigeria, therefore, welcomes the decision to establish the Coronavirus African Vaccine Acquisition Task Team to accelerate the financing and procurement of coronavirus vaccines for the continent. We continue to appreciate the remarkable progress by the team with respect to securing a provisional 270 million coronavirus vaccines doses for Africa, along with the African Medical Supplies Platform and other laudable initiatives already in place.
And in his capacity as the ECOWAS champion on the battle against the coronavirus, the president said Nigeria has provided logistics support, including the freighting of critical COVID-19 medical supplies distributed to member states. He said to mitigate the socio-economic effects of the disease at the national level, his administration prioritized the vulnerable, including women, children, older persons, and the unemployed in the provision of medical and social assistance.
In view of the result on ground today, Africa must be commended even as we begin the implementation of a mitigation strategy. The establishment of the Coronavirus Response Special Fund with the objective to implement measures to mitigate the socio-economic and humanitarian impact of coronavirus in Africa, including boosting the capacity of the African Center for Disease Control, is commendable.
The president, who described as exemplary the support to Africa by development partners, commended the African Center for Disease Control for rising to the occasion by swiftly implementing set priorities aimed at controlling and containing the global pandemic. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The United States has expressed strong support for the candidacy of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the next Director General of the World Trade Organization. This followed the withdrawal of Yoo Myung-hee, Trade Minister of South Korea, for the job. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari welcomes pronouncement of the Office of the United States Trade Representative, signifying withdrawal of the country's objection to the emergence of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as Director General of World Trade Organization. The president notes that the decision of the new U.S. administration to remove the last obstacle in the path of Dr. Okonjo-Iweala to becoming the first female and the first person of African descent to lead the organization is commendable. Quote, Nigeria and the entire African continent are happy about this new U.S. position, which signifies a shift and an important turnaround in the relations between our continent and the United States under the Biden administration, President Buhari added. Let's turn to health matters now. The World Health Organization (WHO) country representative says WHO has not disqualified any country in Africa, including Nigeria, in accessing COVID-19 vaccines, but supporting them for quick access. He revealed this at a media briefing to debunk a media reportage that Nigeria and 9 other countries have been disqualified from accessing the COVID-19 Pfizer vaccine. Oyemi Ajayi reports.
This media briefing became necessary to set the record straight on the qualification and readiness of Nigeria in accessing the COVID-19 vaccines. The Executive Director of National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaib, confirmed that Nigeria will be receiving 16 million AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine by the end of February, as against the 100,000 Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine earlier expected. He said 4 countries that have got the vaccines already was due to the high figure and mortalities as well as new strains recorded especially in South Africa, small population of some, as the case of Cape Verde.
These ultra-cold chain equipment will have been able to store over 400,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine if these were brought to Nigeria. But beyond the Pfizer-type COVID-19 vaccine, we have cold chain equipment that can keep vaccines between +2 and +8 all across the country.
The WHO representative, Dr. Walter Molumbo, says Nigeria is one of the 9 countries certified ready to receive the Pfizer vaccine and among the 51 global countries, and so will be getting about 7 million doses of Pfizer vaccines in subsequent batches.
Demand for the initial allocation of 1.2 million Pfizer doses was exceptionally high. COVAX received interest from 72 countries around the world, of which 51 countries were considered by the review committee ready. Nigeria was among the countries considered as ready.
The Executive Director of National Primary Healthcare Development Agency said that frontline health workers, elderly and those with underlying sicknesses will be getting the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines first by the end of February, with assurance that the President and the Vice President will also be vaccinated when the vaccines arrive the country. In Abuja, Oyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Okay, let's just talk a little about the matters. I have with me the Minister of Health, Sege Henry, with me. Minister, you're welcome to Weekend File.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me.
All right, you've just listened to the report. Let's just, pick up on that. What was your take on the media reportage that Nigeria and 9 other countries have been disqualified from accessing the COVID-19 Pfizer vaccines?
Well, we're surprised to read that. It seems as if somebody drew the wrong conclusions from the statement that was made by the Africa Regional Director. So the question is already answered, that Nigeria was not disqualified. And the small dose, relatively small dose of 320,000 was distributed to those countries who have very high burden and very high fatality rate in Africa.
Okay, let's go to the crux of the matter. So where are we in accessing these vaccines?
Yes, we have 2 sources, primarily the COVAX source, which is going to cover 20% of our population. Hopefully the vaccines will start arriving by the end of this month, perhaps latest beginning of March. And then we have the Africa Vaccine Acquisition Task Team, which is promising us about 41 million doses of two types of vaccines, which also, three types, which also includes the Pfizer vaccine. So with those two accesses, we were able to vaccinate by the end of the year, perhaps 45–46% of Nigerians.
Okay, so how has, what's the measures you're taking, your ministry is taking in sensitizing or enlightening, the masses on the need for these vaccines? Because, like there are, misconstrued, ideas in some sectors about these vaccines.
Yeah, correct. We have been sensitizing the public. We spoke with traditional and religious leaders from the north and from the south. And we have also constantly during the PTF briefings on Mondays drawn attention to the fact that these vaccines are necessary, they are safe, they have been tested, and they are going to be part of the solution to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so there is no reason for anybody to worry about it. But just today I was reading a report that in other countries where they have serious doubts about the vaccines, they are seeing the efficacy, they are seeing people taking it, they are seeing that nothing is happening. So people are already changing their minds just by seeing that the public is accepting it. So we hope that when we do start the vaccination and the people begin to see that it doesn't have any negative effect, then we have less work to do convincing people.
Okay, let me ask this, because would it be made mandatory for everyone, or what happens to some persons who are adamant, who wouldn't want to, who are deliberately not interested in, taking the vaccine? Are there penalties in that regard?
No, at the moment we are not forcing anyone to take it. We are strongly recommending it in the interest of those who, particularly those who have pre-existing diseases. The categories, first and foremost, are health workers who are the most at risk because they are dealing with persons who are tested and positive for COVID-19. And then those who are also at risk of very serious side effects or even at risk of death because of pre-existing illnesses if they contract the COVID-19 virus. So those ones are the elderly, the ones who have pre-existing ailments like diabetes or hypertension or heart disease or asthma. So we prioritize all of those and then take the ages also downwards from the 70s to the 60s and to the 50s. And the agency responsible for that is the Nigeria Primary Healthcare Development Agency. They have done a very good job of categorizing all those who are going to receive the vaccine and all those who are eligible and where they are going to be giving this vaccine. You know that they have a lot of experience from the polio eradication we just ended. They've done a lot of mass vaccination, so they have a very good institutional memory in this vaccination.
All right, so finally, we talked about, like it was said, it was a reportage. So what would you say to media outlets, in terms of getting their source correct, of course, with the ministry?
Well, fact check. Every message you hear, fact check. The ministry is there, doors are open, the NPHCDA is there, NCDC is there, and even NAFDAC is there. So fact check, ask questions, and you will get a correct answer.
Minister of Health, thank you very much indeed for clearing that out for us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Okay, let's take more reports now. The United States has expressed strong support for the candidacy of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the next Director General of the World Trade Organization. This followed the withdrawal of, I beg your pardon, I just observed we've taken that report already at the moment. Okay, the standard gauge track along the Lagos-Ibadan rail line has entered the Apapa port. Michael Olale has more on this.
This is Apapa, the busiest trade corridor in Nigeria. But behind the formality of business transactions are unforgettable tales of frustration caused by traffic gridlock.
Some drivers they are leaving their car from their truck from the field and get away, going back to their place.
This no doubt is negatively affecting the cost of doing business.
You can only take 10 boxes in a week, whereas we have about 50 boxes, 50 containers to take as delivery. Well, we won't be able to load up to 50 containers because the gridlock is affecting us.
The continued agitation that multimodal approach to cargo evacuation is the key to relaxing the gridlock in Apapa informed the extension of the 156-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge line by 8.7 kilometers to access the seaports. The corridor has finally surrendered to the rail revolution with 8 tracks at the station for marshalling of trains.
We have also received 9 freight locomotives. Out of that 9, 2 have been sent to Itakbewori, and we know that there are a lot of freight either going on through from the port or coming to the port. And we will support the Nigerian economy by ensuring that we encourage people to use the rail.
In a report published by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Nigeria loses at least $10 billion in the non-oil export sector and 2.3 trillion naira in corporate earnings across various sectors due to the gridlock at the Apapa corridor. The next line of action is how to connect the rail track to Tinkan Port, with the optimism that more approaches will be activated for cargo facilitation across the country. In Lagos, Michael Lale, NTA News.
The President has dismissed the People's Democratic Party (PDP) attack over the nomination of the former service chiefs and the military intelligence to the Senate for confirmation as non-career ambassadors. The statement notes that the International Criminal Court (ICC), which these calls are being made, needs not to be lectured on democratic values and human rights by the PDP. Quote, who are they? Who and what is their record in office to lecture anyone? Zaki Biam and Odi, where thousands of citizens were killed. The genocide operation comes to mind. Did they report themselves to the ICC? The presidency asked. PDP's attacks on the ambassadorial nominations should be seen in the context of the opposition party's track record of propaganda. The president is rewarding hard work and exceptional sacrifice by a set of military leaders who gave their best to the nation and will be remembered sooner than later for their contributions to the security and survival of Nigeria as one nation. They should be allowed to move to the next level. President Muhammadu Buhari salutes Professor Jacob Olukona on his 70th birthday, wishing him a memorable milestone celebration. The president applauds the decades of research and accompanying rigor deployed by Olukona, a Nigerian National Order of Merit Award winner, into ingenious African religions, earning him a worthy place at the Harvard Divinity School with joint appointment as Professor of African and African American Studies in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, Harvard University. President Buhari wishes the septuagenarian longer life and good health, urging the younger generation to derive inspiration from his sterling achievements. Now, partnership between the federal government and state government is needed to reduce poverty in Nigeria. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, stated this at a virtual meeting of the Forum of Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Secretaries to State Governments in Abuja. Meitare Igben reports.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development convened this meeting to provide coordination for strengthening national poverty eradication strategies in line with its mandate. Speakers agreed that despite various initiatives of the federal and state governments, poverty remains a challenge in the country, hence the need to tackle it with harmonized strategies.
To fill gaps, block leakages, remove overlaps, and increase collaboration and partnerships so that we have a really national effort at tackling poverty in the country.
as opposed to past interventions that create duplication of activities and generating rivalry with sectoral NDAs, the National Social Investment Program is designed to complement traditional sectoral agencies for effective and sustainable poverty eradication.
Any meaningful intervention in this regard must take into cognizance women's equal participation and inclusion in addressing discrimination in all its forms and dimensions.
The multi-sectoral forum resolved in a communique to produce a single document that will guide all tiers of government towards achieving President Buhari's vision of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty within 10 years. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
As the world unites to mark the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, emphasis is shifting in global funding and implementation of punishment measures on perpetrators to forestall the harmful practice, which has no health benefits on victims. Momso Demiandati takes us through details of the act and its consequences.
A harmful traditional practice, a painful and traumatic experience for the victim. That's the partial or total removal of the external female genitalia. Some call it female circumcision, others consider it female genital mutilation. Architect Lola Ibrahim, a wife and mother, has first-hand experience.
I was in university in the late 90s and I was watching a documentary, and that documentary was on female genital mutilation, and that was when it dawned on me that I was a survivor. That was when I asked my mother, and then she told me that when I was about 10 months old, she was visiting my grandmom in Kaduna, and my grandmother told her that she has to cut me, that because girls who are not caught are promiscuous, and that they would not find a husband. She herself, she was caught. Her mother was caught. So it's just a generational thing. They pass it down from one generation to the next. The whole idea of cutting the female genitalia is to, cover sexual drive. They don't even know the implications of what they are doing. Thing did not do anything positive to me. I went through first cesarean section. I've had severe psychological problems. I've been mentally traumatized. I told her I had to go through a therapist. Through therapy, before I became a bit stabilized and I'm able to talk about it.
Just like Lola, there were many other women who have gone through the same experience. Some survived, but others were not so lucky.
I'm very escape manipulated. You'll be sleeping, they just take you from the sleep. They close your mouth, make sure you don't scream, see the blood rushing everywhere. Some bleed and die. I've lost a cousin in that process, and some friends don't come out with me.
It is a common practice in many parts of the world. However, statistics indicate that Nigeria has the highest cases of female genital mutilation, accounting for 15 million out of the 130 million circumcised women globally.
And at least 4 million girls are at risk of undergoing this practice every single year. Sadly, Nigeria alone represents 10% of that number. We also have to face the 2 million additional cases of female genital mutilation is likely to occur over the next decade as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a call to greater action. It's a call for everyone to realize the severity.
The attempt to forestall this practice is what initiated the International Day of Zero Tolerance to Female Genital Mutilation, now a global annual event. Nigeria is not left out in observing this day, where Lola Ibrahim also finds her way to the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, venue of the event.
We cannot continue to hide under the guise of cultural practices to continue to violate the human rights of our women and girls. The culture has long been shrouded in silence, which makes it difficult for victims to speak for fear of stigmatization. We must therefore provide an enabling environment to support the victims through making FGM-related services free and increase the awareness of the health and social impact of these practices on our economy.
The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs has made remarkable progress in the crusade to eradicate FGM.
The tradition should know that it is contrary to the provisions of the ground norm, which is the highest law of the land, and any such provisions that is contrary to that is a nullity. And to be specific, female genital mutilation is prohibited in Section 6 of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, and is punishable by 4 years imprisonment or a fine of 200,000. And also, it is contrary to the provisions of the Child's Rights Act.
It doesn't just end here on a round table, as the stakeholders make their way to the grassroots on advocacy and enlightenment visits to back their words with action.
They are the ones that will be our ambassadors at every community level to reach out and condemn it. And we will continue to monitor through them. Once we buy them in, it's now their own project to ensure that their community is free of female genital mutilation.
No time for global inaction. Unite, fund, and act to end female genital mutilation is the theme for this year. In Abuja, Momso Damien Ati, NTA News.
Well, to stay with us here on Weekend File, when we return, we will turn our attention to proliferation of gas-related stories, which is our focus tonight.
Hey guys, making music for you is so easy for me to do. But you know what else is super easy to do? Linking your NIN to your Glow line by dialing *109*NIN hash. Or I can call 109 from my Glow line and follow the instructions. And if I don't want to call, I can text my NIN to 109. I can even visit glowworld.com/NIN. And what if you've forgotten your NIN? All you have to do is dial *346# and Glow will help you remember it. Someone may ask, what if I haven't registered? All you have to do is go into the nearest Glow World and we'll help you register. It's that easy. So don't get disconnected from all of the amazing voice and data offers from Glow. Linking your NIN to your Glow lines is simple, safe, and 100% free with zero hassles.
Abuja, the evolution and development of a capital city, is an instructive and incisive book that chronicles how the idea of a new federal capital territory was born and situates the vision of the founding fathers while capturing the key declarations, broadcasts, and physical planning activities. This must-read book highlights the policy thrust and major contributions of successive administrations to the development of Abuja on the period August 1998 to May 2019, as well as showcasing FCT tourism potentials and other landmarks. Join the author, Dr. Jumai Amadu, as this book is presented to the public on the 9th of February 2021, time 11 a.m. Venue, Executive Hall, Abuja International Conference Center. Special guests of honor, the Honorable Minister of the FCT, Malam Mohammed Musa Bello, and the Honorable Minister of State, FCT, Hajia Ramatu Tijani Aliu. Chairman of the occasion, Phillips Tanimu Aduda, Senator representing the FCT. Planning Committee, announcer.
John, you can use our toilet now.
Ew! My mommy said I should always use a toilet that is cleaned with Hypo toilet cleaner. James will bite my bum bum.
John, what's the problem? Use Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Introducing the new and affordable Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Kills germs and deodorizes your toilet.
Hypo, Hypo.
The Honorable Minister of Transportation, Right Honorable Chibike Rotimi Amechi, CON, and the Honorable Minister of State for Transportation, Senator Gbemisola Saraki, cordially invite stakeholders in the transportation sector and the general public to the groundbreaking ceremony of Kano Katsina GB Maradi with the branch line to Jotse Jigawa Railway Project by His Excellency Muhammad Buhari, GCFR President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Date, Tuesday 9th February 2021, time 10 a.m. Venue, proposed Katsina Railway Station, Makira. Announcer Dr. Madalina Ajani, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Transportation.
Mommy is ready to receive me a bundle of joy. Mommy is making my home cleaner and safer. We are Dettol sure. Daddy is home. He
happen at home too. That's why Dettol and me together will make my baby's home safe and to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs. That's why moms want to be Dettol. Dettol Sure. We are Dettol, Dettol Sure.
Mimi, where's your mommy?
A major part of being a parent is being present.
I struck out,
and the winner is Mimi
fast as I missed you.
Stay in the picture and be the parent you want to be. Call 0700 AXA Mansard today to speak to an AXA financial advisor.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth Entrepreneurship Support Years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Weekend File with me, Joseph Johnson. It is indeed an excellent and topical topic we are discussing tonight. And taking off from the center of excellence is not by coincidence, because it's not best of times in Lagos State in the area of frequent cases of fire outbreaks, mostly emanating from gas outlets. So Annie Daniels takes a look at this industry and its locations.
The federal government's desire to promote healthier environments prompted the aggressive campaign for the use of domestic cooking gas across the country. Nigerians quickly adjusted to the new trend, leading to the proliferation of domestic gas outlets and plants. All my respondents agreed to making brisk sales daily.
It's lucrative. You cannot actually ascertain the level of cheat in such kind of business, especially the people that dispense in the local settings.
This, of course, is not without regrets, as cases of gas explosion have been recorded across Lagos metropolis. One of such cases is that of Barawa community, where several lives and property were lost after a gas plant explosion occurred while residents were still asleep.
Two gas tankers brought products to the gas plants. One was already offloaded and the other one was on the verge of being offloaded, and it was asked to come in, and the one that was offloaded was asked to go out. Before they could realize what was happening, there was an explosion from the loaded tank.
I narrowly escaped if I were to be late by 1 minute.
This no doubt explains the danger of siting domestic gas plants and outlets in residential areas.
Okay, imagine from that junction to this place, we have almost like 4 filling stations. This is a time bomb for this area.
The community had to fight against him planting a gas plant around this area.
Residents' earnest desire is that concerned authorities will take adequate steps to ensure that incidents like this do not reoccur, not just in Barawa, but in other parts of the country. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
From Lagos, we take you to Asaba, Delta State, where Tessie Koka reports on the challenges of controlling gas explosion and how authorities can tackle the situation through proper regulations.
Recently, several fire incidents have occurred across the country. Delta State also had its own nightmarish experience as a result of gas explosion along Lagos-Asaba Expressway, Agbo, that jolted residents of the state. Not only were property destroyed, lives were lost. All of these happenings certainly calls to mind questions on safety guidelines, especially in the light of proliferation of gas plants outlets across the state in residential areas.
At approval level, we must ensure that there are no houses around. Should there be fire, that collateral damage will be minimized. at approval level, there needs to be total compliance, and at handling level, there needs to be also total compliance. We will definitely put all these piecemeals together in collaboration with other government agencies to avoid future occurrence.
In allocating individual lands, the prospective owners are made to understand the usage. They cannot come and site a filling station, for instance, in a highly built residential area.
For some time now, most Nigerians have imbibed the use of liquefied petroleum gas for domestic cooking. Also, the federal government has equally stepped up the campaign for the use of clean energy for cooking. The affordability of LPG by many homes and consequent increase in patronage has attracted some persons into the gas business and leading to the setting up of gas retail outlets or gas plants even in residential areas.
Authorities will have to take stricter measures to ensure that before filling stations or gas plants are sited, there is adequate risk assessment.
Ministry of Oil and Gas, through approval from His Excellency the Governor of Delta State, conducted a safe handling of gas with retailers of gas in the state, in collaboration with DPR, the State Fire Service.
However, residents are getting perturbed that their safety is being compromised gradually by untrained gas outlet owners. They say the only way out of the quagmire is stringent actions and government intervention in siting of gas plants indiscriminately. In Asaba, Tessie Coca, NTA News.
All right, let's delve into the discussion now as the president of Nigeria Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association, Nuhu Yakubu, joins me from our Lagos Network Center. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Josie. Thanks for having me.
Start with the frequently asked question: why the rampant cases of fire outbreaks, emanating from gas outlets in the country in recent times?
I think largely you can ascribe the incidents of fire outbreaks to poor safety awareness amongst users of gas and then traders of gas, of LPG. So between the users of LPG, as you know, there's been a growing demand for LPG, with growing awareness on the part of Nigerians, the consumers, as to the benefits of the use of LPG for cooking. That has led to more demand for cooking gas, and but there's not been corresponding safety awareness dissemination to coach people as to how best to handle gas use for domestic purposes or industrial purposes. Likewise, also for the traders of LPG, be them gas plant owners or retailers, you see a lot of people rush into the LPG space. I saw Tessie Coca's report earlier on, where one of the respondents was ascribing a lot of profits to the LPG business. But what people see is a profit side, but they are blind to the safety side. So there's a lot to be done on the public awareness and coaching people as to how to properly handle gas. And as to exactly why you have a lot of these fire incidents at filling plants, most of the reports we have gathered, we have a very robust safety department at the NLPGA, Nigeria LPG Association, and we usually follow up with each of these incidents so that we can learn one or two things from each of these incidents. And then what we have gathered from our findings is that usually as a result of loss of containment, gas is meant to be contained within spaces, within confined spaces. But when gas escapes from this confined space, whether by leakage or poor connections during discharge or filling operation, and then there's the ignition source anywhere around, if it can cause a lot of havoc, and that's what we've been experiencing across the country.
Mr. Nuhu, most of these gas outlets are located in residential, areas. Are you saying that your members just, wake up and erect these structures or put up these centers at will?
Not correct. That's not exactly true. Even though we have a few deviants, yes, but most times you have these gas plants will have been approved by the building authorities, because in every state, local government will have the building authorities who will issue the approvals to establish a filling plant or even a petroleum products retail outlets, okay, at a location. And as you know, the key regulator who is responsible for issuance of permits, licenses to trade LPG in localities, neighborhoods, in our cities and towns and villages is the DPR. And one of the critical requirements of DPR is the town planning approval. Without the town planning approval, which is a necessary requirement, and environmental impact assessment, in fact, environmental impact and social assessment, they will not issue a permit. So the DPR usually will rely on the local authorities, either the local government or the state government approval before they then progress the application. Usually what happens on the part of the operators is you find a situation where someone will have obtained an approval from the local government or state authority to build a plant, all right, to site a plant at a location, and he doesn't go construct the plant immediately. Maybe a few years go down, and then houses spring up all around. And then before you know it, the local authorities will have also issued approvals for other structures that may not necessarily be, that should have been some minimal distances away from these filling plants. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, you have filling plants will have been installed already, and then the local authorities will further approve building plans for other developments around the filling plants that have already been cited, thereby compromising the safety requirements that enabled DPR to have approved the siting of the gas plant in that location in the first place. And one of those safety requirements is minimum distance. There's what they call the minimum safety distances required per category or per capacity of storage you're going to have in any particular location. And once you begin to have a gas...
Yeah, sorry for just interjecting there. When we come back, we are going to talk about the whole safety requirements and all. But for now, let's pause the discussion and take some messages. Stay with us.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white cloths, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it. Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white cloths, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Mommy is back!
Guess what's inside?
Chocolate! Biscuit!
Our new toothpaste, Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection.
Why are we changing our toothpaste?
Because with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, I can be sure your teeth are cavity-free.
Cavity? What cavity?
Let me show you.
Most toothaches are caused by tooth holes called cavities. When you brush daily with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, its expert formula locks natural calcium in our teeth and helps protect them from cavity.
It also has natural mint for minty fresh breath every day.
Mom, can I eat chocolates now?
As long as you brush with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection.
Colgate is the world's most chosen toothpaste.
Colgate locks calcium in.
Keeps cavities out!
Recommended by the Nigerian Dental Association.
Mommy is ready to receive me a bundle of joy. Mommy is making my home cleaner and safer. We are Dettol sure. Daddy is home. He must be germ-free. He needs to be Dettol sure. My clothes are so nice. We are Dettol sure.
Illnesses can happen at home too. That's why Dettol and me together will make my baby's home safe and to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs. That's why moms want to be Dettol. Dettol Sure.
We are Dettol, Dettol Sure.
This is the Wilson family last week. This is the Wilson family this week. What's changed? What? The Wilson family got maximum entertainment for less, and now they're closer than ever. Your family can be too.
How does this work?
With world-class international channels that put the quality back in your quality time.
That's what I'm talking about.
GoTV Max will bring you and your family closer in no time. So upgrade to GoTV Max for only 2,999 naira today. Make you enjoy. GoTV. Love it.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no mo. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher no mo. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, I talk with that now.
Not for me. You want make a drive me?
Not for me because of Pamio.
This is Weekend File. Our reporter Hadiza Ebune says it is somewhat different scenario in Bakin Iku, Kaduna Road, a settlement in Suleja local government area of Niger State, as residents are protesting what they call the inappropriate location of a gas plant within their community.
The construction sites of the gas plants, it is a multi-million naira investment. Residents of Bakin Iko Kaduna Road in Suleja would have nothing to do with this new development in their neighborhood because of the fear of their safety. According to them, the project is located in the heart of their town and would compromise their safety and bring about severe environmental hazard when it becomes operational.
We need government to interfere, please, because we are living here. We have houses here. We have children. We have many people.
Though we have petroleum station, filling station around, but we know there's a difference between gas and petrol. Gas is volatile, so it can cause harm anytime.
The community have sued the two companies undertaking the project, and as a result, one of the companies has stopped further work. However, the other has continued with construction, insisting that he has up-to-date documents.
Those dragging, I can equally say that dragging blindly, because those complaining the distance from the gas plant to their house, as far as I'm concerned, about 300 to 400 meters different.
On my second visit to the community, the constructions have been completed and part of it is in full operation. All efforts to speak with management proved abortive. The residents, however, are not shifting ground. For them, the project is dangerous and would rather prefer it located further from the current location with heavy human activities.
Gas plant sited in between the Catholic Church and the mosque across, and a couple of schools around where the two gas plants is sited. It's a danger risk to the community.
They want the relevant authorities to intervene on this matter in order to avoid any kind of disaster. Hadiza Godwin Ebuni, NTA News.
All right, let's continue our discussion. I still have the president of Nigeria Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association, Nuhu Yakubu. All right, so just before we went on that break, you were talking about safety requirement. Talk us through that, but most importantly, tell us how sustainable is the enforcement of safety requirements, and are there provisions to penalize defaulters?
Well, thank you. The regulations are very clear on safety requirements. We have very robust regulations, whether on the part of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, which regulates the quality of systems, equipment to be deployed for use for constructing LPG filling plants or LPG retail consumption plants or cylinders or what have you, hoses and valves. We equally have very robust regulations from the Department of Petroleum Resources that governs the design and siting of filling plants at any locality, be it in a city or even the community-based gas plants. I mean, what people are not realizing that the community-based gas plant actually speaks to the need to bring gas closer to the people. However, whether the plant is big or small, or whether it is in a community or in a big city or in a large expanse of land, that's not really the issue. At what point do we want a gas plant to explode? We don't want any gas plant to explode, whether it is in a big city or with open space in a football field or whether it's in a tight location. If the plant is well designed and built and there is proper observance of procedures, all right, or standard operating procedures as enshrined in the guidelines, we will have no problems. For plants that do not have those distances or that developments have now come too close to the plant, there are still mitigants, safety mitigants, including bond walling to ensure that even when there's some bit of leak, it doesn't seep out towards to environs to find the nearest ignition point. All right, so everything is there in the guidelines. So I think the Nigerian people need to understand that there has had to be a balance between the use of gas supply and demand of gas and the systems, equipment, and infrastructure that are required to deliver gas to them. All right, I don't blame them. There's been a lot of scare all around the place, but it's not as bad as we think. For a country whose demand growth has been so exponential versus the incidents we are reporting, I think we're doing okay as a country, okay? But of course, there's room for improvement.
Yakubu, we're doing okay, all right? Well, that's, that might be, debated, if in that context. But finally, what would be your parting words? Talking to your members, talking to Nigerians, relatively how we can work towards avoiding these mishaps.
I think there's need for improvement in compliance monitoring. Whether the plant is an old plant, a new plant, it doesn't matter. At NLPJ, what we have done, we have developed a self-regulatory template called the safety checklist, which we have educated our members to how to use, where you apply this checklist to check yourselves to know that your gas plant meets minimum requirements. So that even before the regulator comes to you, you will have already applied the checklist to improve your facility standards. And then also, the regulators on their own part, aside the fact that they have designed these very robust regulations, there has to be more boots on ground on compliance monitoring. Compliance monitoring doesn't necessarily be punitive. Compliance monitoring should be such that you visit gas plants and educate them as to what they need to do to improve the quality of their gas plants and the operations of their gas plants. All right, so compliance monitoring and then later on enforcement for gas plants that are not meeting up is the way to go. Because already, I think sometimes we miss the point when we want to continue to over-regulate. We want to add more and more regulations to existing regulations when even the regulations we have already are not being met because of poor compliance monitoring. So whereas our regulators have done fantastically well with robust, globally acceptable guidelines, but they need to be compliance monitoring.
All right. Thank you, Nuhu Yakubu. Well, as we are working towards ensuring safety at home, we should not also forget that safety at workplaces is also of great importance to keep all of us safe in the country. Thank you very much, President of Nigeria Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association, Nuhu Yakubu.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Thanks for having me.
Let's bring you sports now with Gift George.
Captain of Nigeria's D Tigress, Adora Elonu, says the players in camp in Atlanta, USA, ahead of Tokyo 2021 Olympics